Right, so today another bread and butter job. Brick crusher to repair. It goes out on hire all the time and obviously they get quite a lot of abuse, and we're going to try and replace some of these teeth. That's one for that side. You can see on this side they were different, but they've worn down completely, so it's not really doing its job as it should. So we're going to try and replace them and put them sort of in between where the other ones were, because I'm not sure what the material is, so I don't want to be welding on top of them. You see the front here, they've had some replaced in the past, but this side they're completely gone. So what I'm going to use, my little Kempe Minarc. Had this for some years now. They're quite expensive to buy, but they are cracking little tools. Inverter, 140 amp, run all day, never cuts out, and you can run it off a domestic 3-pin plug and off a 50-foot extension lead. Cracking tool. Now these are the teeth. They did have a stud on the end. They were sort of welding, but they're just a tungsten core in a steel shell. We're going to use these 7018s for putting them on. These are 2.5mm ones, so I'll probably be running at about 90 amps, something like that. And we'll see how we get on. I think we've got about 10 in all to replace, or 9 on one side, and actually no, probably 11. There's 10 with this one here, and I think I'm going to replace one more on this side that's pretty much had it. As you can see, these low hydrogen rods take some starting, but once they're going, they're really good. One good thing with this little welder, they will run these rods. A lot of cheap inverters won't, because their OCV isn't high enough, so you need a minimum of 80 volts to run these rods, and this little set will do it, but some of the cheaper ones won't. I sold a lot of packets of these rods years ago, and the amount of people that said, "Oh, I can't run them, there's something wrong with them." Well, no, I'm sorry, I did say in the advert you need at least 80 volts, and I think a lot of these people thought I meant amps, but no, I meant volts. Anyway, this little set will run them all day once you can get them started. And so I'm running about 90 amps here. As you can see, it's plenty. The only disadvantage with these rods, you can't bend them. I don't know if it's just this particular make or whether all 7018s are like it. You try and bend them and the flux just pings off, whereas a lot of other rods you can actually bend them to shape. So if you've got to get into a peculiar corner, get around the back or something, you can just bend the rod and sort of feed it in. But these you can't, so it can be a bit of a problem. Now I'm going to run probably 2 beads around here. Just to make sure that they don't come off, because these machines are powerful. They really are powerful. They have I think it's a 4-inch hydraulic ram behind this plate that pushes the 2 plates together. And it's only a short stroke. I think it's about, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches, but it's 4 inches in diameter. There's a lot of power there. So I don't want all these pinging off. The ones that I'm replacing on this side, they were all originally bolted through. But I don't think the owner can get the right bits now, so that's why we're having to use these weld-on ones. I think that's got that one. Have a little zoom in. Not that I don't think you'll be able to see it very well. No, you can't really see very well on there. Right, so let's decide where we're going to put the new ones on this side. They are staggered. The original ones were staggered. So if we go something like that. No, that, you see, that then leaves the bottom half. There's very little at the bottom down here. So I think we want to go down rather than up, because I think that's where a lot more of the work is going to be done, near the bottom. I don't quite know how we're going to work this. My brain's not really in gear yet this morning. Let's figure this out. Let's stagger it the opposite way to the way it was. That's better, I think. At least that's got some nearer the bottom. Right, that's it. We'll do that, I think. So, I think I'm going to start at the bottom. I think it's going to be easier to do that than start at the top and then try and work over myself, over the ones that I've already put on. I'm just going to get a pair of grips to try and hold these with while I tack them on. Now this guy's got several of these crushers that go out on hire, and they do need some maintenance, and he stresses when they go out. This has to be greased, that has to be greased on an hourly basis or so many hours. It hardly ever gets done. The amount of times I've had these in with bearings that have absolutely been mullered, completely mullered, where they just haven't been greased. They've been out on a site job and they haven't followed the instructions. Hey ho, they've got to pay for it, the hirer, so doesn't really, no skin off the owner's nose or mine, apart from the fact of the downtime. But I don't know what sort of a lifespan these are supposed to have, because they do take some abuse. They're thick, heavy. I'm not quite sure what the plate is. Hard ox, possibly. But it still gets bent and damaged and pushed about all over the place. Let's get a bit of a view from a distance. Whoever invented these things, they're a cracking little tool if you want to get them around the back of a small property to crush stuff up. I'm guessing they're pretty expensive to buy new as well. These are the sort of jobs that aren't very glamorous. They're not particularly difficult, but you know, they're the sort of things that pay the bills. Actually, I must be repairing these quite well, because I haven't had one in for repair recently. And this one's only in because it's worn rather than been abused. So perhaps his message about greasing everything is getting through at last. It's absolutely freezing here today. 1 degree. I know compared to some people that's nothing, but It's at least it's sunny though. We've had some peculiar weather the last few weeks. Snow and ice week before last. Then it went up to about 9 degrees. Now this week it started off at 1 degree. Really weird. I'm trying to get some of these rods down to a short size so I can get around the back of some of these things. I'm leaving some of the back bits so I can get round them once I've got some shorter rods. I'm trying to figure out how to get around it there. I can't get round that other side, so blooming things, they stick like shit to a blanket when they hold. They really do. Have a hell of a job getting them off. Might need a little bit of left-handed welding as well shortly. So I'm trying there to get that short bit underneath that one. Sometimes this can be really frustrating when they won't strike up, these rods. But then other times you hardly touch them and away they go. They're a peculiar rod. They're not the prettiest of rods, but boy do they stick. They really are good for sticking stuff together. It's funny, I don't do much stick welding these days because most of my work is done with the MIG. I do rather enjoy it. It's something nice about it somehow. Basic, I suppose. It's just, I don't know what it is. Rather cool. Bit of left-handed coming up here, I think. Maybe. Get it going. Yeah, there we go. We're nearly there. One more, I think. Or possibly two. One on here and then I might have one on the other side to replace. That's the other thing with these rods, the flux hangs on quite well. You really need to give it a good old belt to get it off. Watch out, here comes trouble. The dog's just arrived. Oh, you're all wet, Ralphie. Ralph's been paddling in his pond. Don't know why, because it's freezing out. He's just come in soaking wet. Right, there's that last one on the opposite side I said I was going to replace. That one had no tip left on it at all, and it was loose, so I thought I might as well use up the last one and just stick it on there. Come on, see what I mean, you know. And then if the flux comes off, every time you try and strike, it sticks. So it's peculiar rods. That one's quite easy to get round. The dog's going wild all of a sudden. Got the devil in him today. I think we must be almost there. Don't think after this one there's much else to do. I'll just get round this one a bit sharpish. Some of those I don't really need to put any weld around them. I'm just trying to shorten my rod so I can get round the back of this other one because the rod's a bit too long. So there we go. We've got them all done. I must admit I wouldn't like to get my head caught in there when that thing's working. They're not particularly pretty, but I don't think they're going to come off in a hurry with any luck. Typical, gone out of focus, but you get the idea. Those 2.5 mils, you can put a fair bit of rod down. That side's a bit of a mess, but it's just been tidied up. He doesn't want much doing to that side. They obviously work quite well still. So let's get cleared up, tidied up, put the battery back on this thing and see if we can get it out of here. Just another shout out for these Kempies. Cracking bit of kit. I say they run all day. This is a scratch start TIG as well if you want it to be. So there I was running about 90 amps. It was absolutely ample. Really good bit of kit. I don't think they actually do that one anymore, but the next newer model, you get hold of one, you won't be disappointed. See if we can get this thing running. Get it out the way a bit. Just need to slide it alongside the doors so I can shut the doors and reverse out, because I'm going in a minute. And I can come and pick this up when I'm gone. That'll probably just about do it. So there you go. Average, everyday job. Over and done.